Here in the United States, communities are battling a different kind of danger, the threat of an active shooting event in their neighborhoods. In Gaithersburg, Maryland, a community sought a civilian response to active shooting events, or CRASE training, provided by local police to know what to do and how to defend themselves if ever such a misfortune creeps into their neck of the woods. Eagle News correspondent Che Masaka reports.
Parkland, Florida and Christchurch, New Zealand, places of two recent mass shootings that dominated the headlines. Authorities say that these tragedies can be averted with community involvement and neighborhood trainings to help people prepare for the worst. And this preparedness could mean the difference between losing lives and saving them.
This is a very sensitive yet needed piece of instruction.
So CRASE is a class that we teach to citizens in an effort to educate them on how to respond to an active shooter situation. So we've been doing active shooter presentations for a couple of years now. We've adopted the CRASE program because Montgomery County Police and our allied agencies use this program to teach to the county schools and to other organizations. So in an effort to be uniformed and teaching the same thing, we went with CRASE. We've gotten a lot of requests for it from nonprofits, from businesses, private industry, to community groups, to our place of worship. So we're out as much as we can educating people. And then we do also do some scenarios with some groups if the time allows and things like that. Our request for more places of worship has increased more due to other places. The nonprofit organizations and the business organizations has increased as well, and we're doing those more as a group effort in multiple agencies versus where like we come to a specific place of worship and it's just that congregation. So these violence that are occurring more and more, even though we've been out talking to people, a lot of it has been stopped because people are trained, because other people are acting on part of that. But unfortunately, as we've said before in presentations, the shooter there's no specific kind of profile of the shooter. So we can't prepare for every single incident, but we can prepare on how do we prepare for that situation at that time. So avoid, deny, and deter. So avoid, you want to avoid the situation. You want to try to get away, run it away from it if you can. Deny, you want to deny entry. You don't want the person coming into the room. You don't want the person coming towards you. And then, to defend. You want to defend yourself in any means possible. We've seen this occur in schools in all age groups. We've seen this occur in malls, in movie theaters, at concert venues, and those have reached out to all ages. So there's not really a specific age group that we're reaching out to. We want everybody informed. In the past few years, we've seen an escalation in active shooter events across the nation, and an effort to make sure that our citizens are aware of what to do during that situation, along with what to expect. Not just what to do in that situation. After an incident occurs, what's the community supposed to do? How do we get together and build from that, and move on? Every day, you hear about incidents that occur, not here just in the nation, but international. It breaks my heart because to hear that somebody has gone to that extent, a lot of times it's somebody who suffered some kind of mental illness or suffered some kind of tragedy in their life, and there was no way for them to find an outlet to get that out. So not just talking about active shooter preparation, but how do we help each other build? How do you go out and help your fellow individuals in finding a way to let that stress out? It is another push that we try to do. So we work a lot with our youth engagement teams. We work with Explorer programs, cadet programs, our youth centers, and letting them know that, hey, when you get stressed in life, there's other outlets to do. There's activities, there's talks, there's people to help you.
We just attended today our CRASE training, or civilian response to active shooter event, so that we could be prepared for, God forbid, any eventuality, to be able to react to whatever might happen in our life. We don't know exactly the events that could happen in our life, and active shooter events are quite common, unfortunately. There's events that happen in the schools, happen at the faith-based centers. There's that workplace. There's no place that's safe anymore, no safe zone. And so it's making us more concerned about maybe training ourselves in self-defense more, spending more time in discussing what to do in case there's an active shooter or other situation. Wherever we are, we have to discuss what kind of thing we have to do in that moment. For example, if we're in a restaurant, we have to discuss with our family the escape routes. Those things are something I didn't really think about, but this type of seminar made me aware that yes, we have to have that kind of discussion. We have to have a plan in case something happens, whether it's an earthquake or a disaster, active shooter event. It's always good to plan.
Today's session, I learned how to respond to an active shooter event. This involves what to do when a shooter comes in, and I learned to do three things. That is to avoid, deny, and defend. These things we don't normally encounter. We don't see this happening to us, but we hear it in the news. We see it happening all over us. Unless it happens to us, sometimes we think that, what are we going to do? So having the knowledge, having the opportunity to learn something like this today, it's definitely very helpful for us to be prepared when something does happen to us.
Actually, I have to go home and start practicing with my kids, especially when we go to the church, when we go outside to restaurants or any other places. We have to, before getting into the store or to any restaurants, or especially to worship service, we gotta let them know how we have to prevent of getting hurt. You know, if somebody gets a gun and somebody screams a gun, I have to start doing the process with them.
To call 911, because that's the first of what the police recommended to do, and try to protect yourself and protect the rest of them.
What I learned today was about keeping yourself safe during an active shooter situation. It was very informative. I liked how he went through specific scenarios and why it was important to first keep yourself away from the danger and then to address the danger in any way you can, because of course keeping yourself safe is the number one priority. This seminar was very timely. Like, of course, nowadays we're getting a lot more news on shootings, especially in schools. There is a lot of media coverage of a lot of people who have like mental illnesses who specifically target schools. So I think it's fitting that as somebody who is currently a student in high school, this seminar was very fitting. As a leader in this youth group in the church, what we want to do is, of course, we want to enrich their lives, but a part of that is keeping them safe. So we want them to be able to protect themselves in the case that they're ever in danger. And of course, that's part of our care as leaders of this youth group. Of course, there's like no way to be completely prepared in one of these situations. Like, of course, you're going to panic. I would be very terrified to be in this type of situation, but I feel like more at ease. At least I have more of an idea on what to do in this type of situation.
If you ever have the misfortune to be in an active shooter event,
The recent mass killings have proven that hatred can be lethal, but the number of victims could have been less if more were aware and knew how to react in such fearful situations. And so the communities are now coming together to equip themselves with knowledge and training to defend not only themselves and their loved ones, but also their neighbors. Chaya Masagka for Eagle News, Gaithersburg, Maryland, 1 with 25.